Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Ear Mob Podcast, a podcast dedicated to music and all things unexplained. Ear Mob is your one-stop shop for all of the topics that you are interested in and desire to know more about, whether it be rock and roll, UFOs, ghosts, drumming. The Ear Mob Podcast has you covered. So sit back, settle in, and join me, your humble host, Chaz Stumbo, as I take you on a journey through the gateway into the Ear Mob universe. Today, I have a very special guest. This guest and I go way back. This guy is one of those guys where you just sit back and listen to how prolific his output of music is and how fresh his ideas are, and it makes you want to be a better musician. It makes you want to work harder. I am referring to my dear friend Kingzilla, a.k.a. Kevyn Kelley. Kevyn, I got you on the line. How you doing, my friend?
Man, I'm doing great, man. It's a pleasure to be on your show right now, especially because, man, you hit something close to the heart with the unexplained. I was a big fan of that type of thing and still am from the 70s watching, Leonard Nimoy with In Search Of from a kid and all that type of stuff, man. So, yeah, this is right up my alley.
Cool. Yeah, man. I've had a lot of people tell me you need to narrow it down or split it up into a couple different podcasts. And I don't think so. I mean, we'll try it this way, but I think if you're into what I'm doing and you're into hearing what I have to say when it comes to music and the guests I have, such as yourself, on, then you're going to want to hear about some of the other stuff. I mean, I've had a few people on talking about Bigfoot, and those shows have been rather popular. I had my good friend Jeff Ockeltree on, and he's, I'm not sure if you're familiar with him or know him at all, but he's a drum tech to the stars. I mean, he's done so many. He started out with Billy Cobham back in the Mahavishnu days.
Man.
Right. Jeff's hip, man. He's cool. He knows what's going on. Cindy Blackman Santana, Steve Smith, Vinnie Caliuta, John Bonham for a short time, Mark Craney. So, I mean, Jeff probably knows more about the drums and has forgotten more than most of us will ever know. He's just a cool guy. So let's dive into you, my friend. So I came across you. You've been promoting your Kingzilla releases for quite some time, and you've been doing it for a couple years at this point. Everything's up on Spotify, and I was playing it the other day, and my grandson walked in, and he's like, "Man, this is really cool." And I think it was Hype that I was playing. I think that's the latest one you've released, and he was digging it. And I think he actually got on my Spotify account and created a little playlist for himself, and I think a couple of your tunes are on there. So that's pretty cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Man.
He's 9, but I try to keep him, at least well-rounded as far as music. I mean, he's got your stuff on there. I had him listening to Iron Maiden last week, Frank Zappa the week before. Just trying to keep him well-rounded so he's not stuck in one thing, because when I was growing up, that's kind of how it was. It was, hey, here's the rock music from the 70s. Here's the hair metal bands from the 80s. Here's some of the heavier stuff, and then here's, Run DMC and LL Cool J and, Parliament and, James Brown. So there was everything. I was just kind of soaking everything up. So,
that's not to cut you off, but that's really interesting how you just brought all of that up, because I remember coming up as a kid that music up until, I would say, the late 80s, going into the early 90s for me, man, it just wasn't a lot of people around me that was opening up their ears to a big variety of music. It almost felt like, in a certain way, music was segregated in the 70s. We went from this late 60s movement, early 70s, where it's like peace, love, let's all trip on whatever's hip and cool, a together thing. And then all of a sudden it became like, the radio stations and the record labels said, this demographic of people, we need to focus this kind of music on them and this kind of music on them over here. So when I was coming up, man, I didn't really want to tell anybody, on the bus that I thought AC/DC Back in Black rocked hard. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
It just was the kind of thing where, I knew it was slamming for me, but, I was really scared of what, my peers at that time thought, and I think at one point in time as a kid growing up, we all go through a period of that type of thing. And so, finally, man, I just got to a point where it was like, yo, man, this is who I am. I like a lot of different stuff, and I don't care what anybody thinks, man. It's just good music to listen to. And that went from Led Zeppelin to Parliament Funkadelic, Prince, Jimi Hendrix, The Who, Johnny Cash. I was listening to so much stuff. And I think that what helped me develop to be the musician I am today is that, music is not a one-trick pony. It's a multi-vast universe of sound and notes, and just it's deep, man. It's deeper than most of us can conceive.
I think that's what makes it so appealing to all of us, is the fact that, it's so diverse, and, you can go from, like you said, listening to James Brown to getting over to Led Zeppelin. And I mean, being a huge Zeppelin fan, I totally get it. And I mean, we're both drummers. So,
right.
It's for me, it's always been, if it sounds cool and the drums jump out at me, then I dig it,
Right.
And
right.
Even like, I mean, of course, Funkadelic, I mean, what's not to love about the drums on that stuff,
right.
And I mean, it's some of it doesn't sound like it's terribly difficult to play, but a lot of that stuff is terribly difficult to try to play and get the same feel, and
Absolutely.
That's what makes it so much fun,
Yeah.
Even like, going back in the day when, somebody would say, oh man, you got to check out this record. And it would be, like, I'm going to kind of date myself a little bit here, but it would be like Dawkins or something like that,
right.
Where it's the drums aren't that cool, but it's just this rock music, and I'd listen to that. And then somebody else, one of my other friends from a completely different group of friends, would say, man, you got to check this out. This is Disintegration by The Cure. And I went through that whole thing. Like you just said, man, you had one group of friends that liked something. You had another group of friends that liked something completely different. And you didn't want any of those friends to know that you liked the other stuff,
Right.
And
I think that was a part of coming up, Chaz. I think it was just eventually you developed being your own person, and you didn't give a rat's tip eventually what anyone else thought as you got deeper into your endeavor of music. And that's really important. I would tell any young person or even someone in my age group, it's important for you to establish what makes you happy within music. What is it that brings you joy in being involved with music? And I had to ask myself that question, especially right before the pandemic and during the pandemic, right? And I came to the conclusion that, for me, there were certain things that I had to get back to because I had, what's the best way to put it? The best way, I guess, to just put it was I felt that I had pimped my own self out for the dollar, making money with my gifts instead of being happy.
I know.
My gifts.
I know.
And so, you're chasing the dollar and you're playing stuff you don't like to play. You're also subjecting your persons to playing in a band with people that on any other circumstance, you wouldn't play with them. But the dollar was saying, hey, yo, man, you got to do this, you know? So once I came to the conclusion that, yo, man, we're going to cut out XYZ. We're not going to do this anymore. But we're going to do, you know, this right here, ABC. We're going to fall in line just like this. And once I put that into motion, man, my life became happy again with music, man. It's all I think about. It's all I want to do. I sitting here, I write these songs. I put these songs out with, you know, my team, my good friend Blake, who writes the lyrics and, you know, does the rapping. And I help him with background singing and that type of thing on the tracks. I'm having the most fun I've had in a very long time in my music career. And it feels great. So I am a loudmouth when it comes to telling people now. Do what you want to do, man. I'm a loudmouth about it now. I can't stop talking about it, Chaz. I'm like, hey, man, don't do something that's going to rob you of your joy. Don't do something that eventually you'll look at your instrument feeling like you hate it. That's not cool, man.
Well,
not cool.
Yeah, the thing is, we all, I mean, you know, we're both from Vegas. Yeah. So essentially, you know, like you said, the dollar started dictating, you know, your life as far as music. And we both got into that a little bit. And for me, drums became a job. So essentially what happened there was I never wanted to see them outside of playing gigs. I didn't want to touch them outside of playing gigs. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I worked in a music store too, so I was around them then. But I mean, it was just something like, oh man, that's, you know, that's job number 2. You know, I don't want any part of that. And growing up, I used to spend hours and hours and hours behind the kit just playing for the love of playing, putting on a record, putting on the headphones and going for it. And, you know, I loved the guys that I played with. And I loved, you know, about 80% of the music that we played. There were certain songs that I was like, oh my God, I got to play this again. You know,
right. Right.
I mean, you know, there's a couple years ago, Jeff Ochiltree brought in Steve Smith to meet me. And that's huge because Steve Smith is probably the reason I started playing. And, you know, so I was telling Steve about my band and everything. And Steve said, do you guys play Don't Stop Believin'? And I said, yeah, man, I've probably played that song more times than you have at this point, you know? And he kind of laughed. He said, do you play it right? I said, oh, of course. I said, you know, of course, I'm not going to cheat my way through it. And again, that song sounds simple, but it's not an easy pattern to play, you know, right and convincingly because, you know, the drums are a little bit buried in the mix, so you kind of have to watch old videos and figure out exactly what he's doing. But, you know, it was that particular song was a tough one. It was just like, oh, man, I just have to resort to knowing that I'm going to play that song every single night. Every time I play a gig, that song comes up. Or it's going to be, you know, Living on a Prayer by Bon Jovi. And I mean, there were nights where we wouldn't get a request for Living on a Prayer, and those would be known as the non-Jovi nights.
Right.
So
I know all about that.
I mean, you know, we wouldn't realize it till the end of the gig, and we look at each other and go, "Man, it was a non-Jovi night." Bonus,
right?
You know, so I know about, you know, getting to the point where it feels like a job. And right there, about 6 months before the pandemic hit, you know, like the end of 19 going into 20, I'd be sitting there, I'd be playing on stage, and I'd just be kind of looking out going, man, I've watched this same, you know, scenery for the past 12 years, the same exact view from the same exact spot on stage. I was starting to feel guilty because I needed a break. You know, I
totally get it.
I didn't really want 15 months plus of a break at this point, but I needed it. And now even during the pandemic, I didn't really touch drums. I mean, there were other things. It's like, man, I just need to walk away from these things for a good while and not worry about it.
I could totally relate to what you're saying. Yeah. At the end of 2019, I was doing, some gigs with some really beautiful people, man, beautiful musicians, great guys. And, but there was this thing going on inside of me that, I was also playing, church gigs as well. And there was this thing going on inside of me that was saying, Kevyn, man, life is short. What is it you really want to do with this instrument? How is this instrument really supposed to represent you? Right? And man, I went back to my childhood. I always wanted to be in a band playing and writing our own stuff. I've always been like that. From the time I was like, I would hear Hendrix or something, it would inspire me to want to hum out a tune or play a certain drum pattern, go figure it out on the drums, just like you said earlier about yourself. I loved just playing the drums for hours. And I had got to a point where I was looking at the instrument, and like yourself, I wanted nothing to do with it until it was time to play. I just had because it became a job, right? So when the pandemic happened, it became a thing where it was like, well, there was no gigs to play. There was no church gigs, no casino gigs, no bar gigs, no nothing. So it became very easy for me then to focus on my production and to do something that way. So now when I drum on these songs, I'm thinking about what pattern, the feel of it, how is it going to help this song sit a certain way? And that's the evolution of where my drumming has went from, using it to make $1 like I was, to using it now to make myself happy within my creativity. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I think it was a great blessing for myself. I can only speak for myself on how that happened through the pandemic. I sat at home, and instead of being depressed about what was going on, I said, I'm going to take this as an opportunity to get better at what I want to get better at. So, Chaz, I woke up every morning and I decided that I was going to treat writing these songs in my home studio as my new job of joy. So every day, I took no days off. While I was sitting at home, I came in for 8 to 10 hours a day and I wrote, played the beats, figured out, notes, what was working, what wasn't working. And man, so within that period, I wrote 3 albums worth of material. And that was very healthy for me to do. So, I know, man, that people lost loved ones. I know it was a bad time for the world, what it did and how it shut everything down. But I had to find something out of it, positive, to help rebuild myself, and that's what it was.
And I've noticed with the music and how complex it is, and there's different things going on, and on these tunes. I've listened to them, and every time I listen to them, I hear something new that I haven't heard the time before. And you can definitely tell that you put a lot of time into these songs, and you put a lot of time into developing your craft, and I think it's paying off. You're getting quite a few spins on Spotify, and that's no small feat. That's pretty heavy, and that's a good thing. Obviously, you've got people that are digging it, and they should, because it's some really good stuff. And I did want to sit here. I'm going to play a couple of tunes, so I just want to make sure I've got your permission to play them. And
oh, absolutely,
okay.
Absolutely.
All right, cool. Yeah. So I want to play this first one. It's called "Light to Love," and so tell me a little bit about this song before I hit the play button here.
Okay, "Light to Love" is the last song that you hear on the program record, and when Blake and I came together when it was time to go over the lyric part of it, because what happens is I'll put the music together and I'll give him the song, and he's like, well, Kevyn, what are you feeling? What kind of direction can you give me to go? And I said, all the other songs, some kind of way we have expressed what we, from just our opinion, our view, what we saw from mid 2019 up to now. I said, but we have to have a resolution to all of that stuff. We have to come to a place of reminding the listener as well as ourselves what love is about, what caring for another human being is really about. Because at the end of the program, it was very important to have that message come across, because through the rest of the record, you're hearing a lot of other stuff, man, that could trigger a lot of stuff. There was things on that record that made me have to look at even myself when we were making it. It wasn't an easy record to make. I thought it would be. I thought it was something like wham, bam, boom, like we did the other ones, real quick. Okay, yeah, we ready to release this and see what it does. But the program was not that kind of record. It just wasn't. I was hitting brick wall after brick wall on many things. And so, Light to Love is a really, for me, it's an emotional song. I loved what Jim Buck did at the end of the song, guitar player here in Las Vegas. He played banjo and guitar, and he did this awesome lead at the end of it, which he really took me someplace when he did that. When he wrote that, I was just like, wow, man, it made me feel like I was just floating, like in a dream state, So I really, kudos to Jim Buck, man, very creative guitarist. So I really appreciate him playing on the record. And I think it's a great testimony to end the record on, what we're trying to get across in meaning on it.
Okay. So let's play the tune, and we'll go from there, and we'll chat about it for a little bit once the tune is done. This is the very last song on the program record, and it's called Light to Love.
Are we ever gonna get back to a place of peace? Are we ever gonna get back to a place of soul where love is the common goal? There has to be such a place, not just in our minds. We have to believe and act on it every given time. This is a calling we all must hear. A tear of fear can no longer be as the river runs wild. Whomever you got, your higher power, that source of energy, you're summoned for help. Reconnect with the greatest of faith and trust that he who shines will be your light to love. 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 And be your soul to love. And be your power to love. And be your soul to love. Are we ever gonna get back to a place of peace? Are we ever gonna get back to a place of soul where love is
Man, I dig that tune, man. That is a killer tune. And it's funny because I'm sitting here and we're listening to it, and I can totally in my mind's eye see you sitting there at the kit recording that track, and you've got your shades on and you're just kind of your head's kind of bobbing up and down, and you're just because you're solid. It's a pretty solid groove straight through, and I can just totally see you with your eyes closed, and you just kind of you got that look on your face. You're kind of feeling it, and you're kind of chewing on the bottom lip a little bit, and you're making your way through the tune, man. Tell me I'm wrong, dude, because I know I'm right.
Oh, no, man. You're you're on point. The thing I learned with that track and many other tracks like it on the record was I played with Jim Buck's tribute band to the Allman Brothers. And on that gig, it was a 2-drummer thing that we actually did. We actually had Earl Campbell playing, which at that point I felt like a Honda Civic sitting next to a Ferrari,
Earl kind of does that to you. I call him the sleeper because you never know, and then all of a sudden he does something. You're like, dude, what the hell did you just play?
So yeah, I'm on this gig with him. But the thing I learned from it, which was I appreciated having those times playing next to him, was the complexity within simplicity. You would think that a 2-drummer thing, like both drummers playing, would be this, oh my God, this is going to be a nightmare type of situation. But with him, because we were both listening, 2 drummers became one sound. So from that experience, I brought that into the studio, especially when creating this particular record, the program. A lot of times you're hearing 2 to 3 drum parts that, I played something and it came together, you know what I mean, to make one drum part. So on Light to Love, those are 2 separate drum kits you're hearing being played that end up making the one sound that you're hearing. And that influence to do that came from being in that band, doing that. So you never know what can light that match, underneath you, and all of a sudden you're doing something that you normally wouldn't have thought to do. And that's what happened to me when coming into this, because I had that experience of playing with those guys up until the pandemic shut everything down. So what's cool is you could actually create your own loop feel. And in some cases, I did use some loops as, okay, I want this to play against what I'm playing. But in a lot of cases, I played all the parts. One of the songs that I had various different loops come in because I really wanted the authentic feel of like dubstep and drum and bass drums along with my drumming. So there was 3 different drum rhythms to make one rhythm, and that was the song Hype, which, it's a lot of drum work in there, but it sounds simple, but man, it really isn't once you start picking out one drum part to play, because it's 3 different drum parts at various points in the song. But I had to make sure that it didn't sound out of control. It had to sound still like one unified drummer, one sound. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So again, all of that, as far as an influence or even to have the courage to do that, all came from, playing that in that Allman Brothers tribute band. So something remotely different in style, but still what was going on in that, man, had such an impact that I came into the studio and was like, man, every track drum-wise is going to be like that. Right. So I did it. I just,
They sound amazing. I mean, I know that you're very big into the electronics and utilizing those to the full capacity, and you have been for quite some time. And I mean, it shows on this. The production value on this stuff it sounds great. I mean, it sounds every bit as good as anything, if not better than anything you'd hear on the radio or on TV. I mean, you've definitely carved a niche, and I mean, all this stuff's just, every song's great. I mean, I definitely recommend that everybody check out this stuff on Spotify. And that leads me up. I want to get into another song, Kevyn, and you picked out some songs for me to play here. And the next one that you told me to play is called Exodus. What's that one got going?
Okay. Exodus was one of those songs when it came time to put the lyrics to it. Man, Blake came at me, and it was like the guy had gotten my head. It was really remarkable. He came back with these lyrics, which inspired me to say what I said in the choruses and some of the bridge area. And the song is a deep song. It's basically about that point in time. Maybe you've experienced this, maybe you haven't. But at some point in time in your life, if you live long enough, you may look at humanity and the things that you see going on around you, and you may feel like you want to exodus from it. Even if that means you and your family buying a piece of land with 2 acres with just water and electricity on it, and you're cool, you just want to shut off the rest of the world, man. That's what Exodus is about. It's about, especially after what we saw take place in 2020, man. There were moments in time for me, I had to do some really deep thinking, man, as a person, where I wanted to be as a person, a musician, producer, going forward. That song brought out a lot of stuff, man, So for me, it has really deep meaning. When you listen to the song and you zone in on the lyrics, man, you're kind of like, wow. You know what I mean? And it really didn't hit me until after it was done. When I finally said, okay, mix is great. Time to send it to the mastering place, the mastering guy. And then it really dawned on me like, wow. You know what I mean? That's all I could say. And it made me go into deep thought for a while. I actually went silent for, I think, like maybe a week, 2 weeks, because I was just in thought, So that's what the song is about, not to get too heavy or deep, but just being truthful about what the song means.
Okay.
People go through that emotion, you know what I mean? And then it's just something that's part of humanity. You wonder sometimes, what is your place in it all? And especially when you're seeing, some uncool stuff going on around, So yeah, man, that's just what it's about, not meaning to get too heavy, but, just being truthful to what the nature of the song is.
Sure. And that's not a problem. I mean, that's what this is for. I want you to be, I expect everybody to be real. And I mean, you are one of those people going way back. I mean, you're about as real as it gets. I mean, you're going to tell somebody exactly what's going on, exactly how you feel about it. And, that's one thing I love about you and appreciate about you. And is the fact that, if you've got something to say, you're going to say it. And generally, even if it's something that the other person's not going to like, you don't do it in a mean or hateful way to be combative. You're just like, hey, man, you really should think about this, because this is how I see it. This is what's going on. And I think, man, you could be a better person for it. So let's kick off this track.
All right.
I'm moving and grooving, navigating and pushing through the darkest tunnel, seeing the light up ahead. Knowing that I'm leaving the bullshit behind. behind, tested by mankind. My middle finger up upon my exodus. My plan to walk and live on new land was enough for me to trust my system. Never will I be a slave to your rhythm or your systemic racism. I'm mountain high with the view of the valley below. A new start for me awaits. And once I start my descent, I will give one more look back and say never returning to that. Leaving a message to the state that states you ain't shit. Written on a rock I defecated on. A purge, a cleanse, the end of hell. I'm on the curve that bends. I'm going with the wind. Become the face of a visionary. Seek the truth by any means necessary. Challenge change. The Gypsy King speaks. You're now on the road called butterscotch, and it's a road that finds you. You're now on the path where great minds walk. Release the sands of the hourglass. Exodus. Each step from here on in brings me closer to my holy grail. Slow and methodical movement, thinking, breathing, protects the soul from sin. Tai Chi, advanced meditation, another elevation. Look at my levitation right before your eyes.
Man, listen to you go rocking out in that tune, man. There's some big drums in that tune, and I mean, again, man, I could just see you with your eyes closed and those sunglasses on, going for it. And I mean, dude, that tune rocks, Kevyn.
Yeah, I really, like I said, man, it's like, Chaz, like you could be creating something and you're really not knowing the impact of what it's having on yourself as you're creating until it's done. And that was that song that, did that to me at the end. I was like, I was like, wow, man, okay. And, can I say something? First of all, thank you so much for allowing an independent artist like me to come on your show and for you to play the music for people out there that are listening to get a chance to experience it. Because, as an independent artist, man, there is so much foolery going on out there. People, scamming on people's dreams. I had an agency that listened to the whole record, and they like, yeah, man, we could get you on FM radio. We could do this and this and this and that. And I was like, oh, okay, all right. Well, how much, and, settled on a price. And then when it was all said and done, they introduced my music to playlisters that I was sitting there like, why did you submit my song to these people? Like, they were submitting me to EDM playlisters, New Disco, which is like a house form of music over there in Europe. They introduced me to, like a retro funk station. And hey, man, these people were really nice when they came back and said, hey, man, we really think the stuff is creative, it's cool, but there's a miss here because my audience listens to EDM, or my audience just listens to, drum and bass or whatever. And so I was really kind of disappointed that, what they said they could do and what ended up getting done was two separate ordeals. And so, for a lot of independent artists out there that you put your love and your heart into what you're doing, if you get involved with some of these marketing people, really just do your research and make sure that these people can do what they have proclaimed they could do for you and your music, And the reason why I'm mentioning that is because, again, I appreciate the opportunity to be on your show today and to have had two of these songs played because, man, with some of this other stuff, man, people, they take your money. They take your money real fast, man, but they have no clue what to do with your music. Like I call my style of music dub funk because under the rock, under the elements of some dubstep, some drum and bass, you hear a little bit electronic music, you hear a little bit of everything under it. But underneath all of that, dub electronic stuff is funk. Even under the rock, there's a certain groove, an element of funk. So I call it dub funk. Therefore, I do believe that the people I'm working with, we have come up with something new. And it was really hard to get promoters and people to understand that. We're like, well, look, man, we're going to go ahead and submit you to a regular hip hop station. It's like, this ain't hip hop, man. It's been an uphill battle with that type of thing. So the reason why I'm mentioning that is because if there's anyone out there that's doing what I'm doing and you've run into these things, hey, man, you're not alone. Keep it moving, though. Keep your head up and keep pushing, because you will get your music in the right hands of the right people that will understand it and appreciate it.
And I think, with the amount of plays that you're getting on Spotify, I definitely think that there is a base out there that understands it and appreciates what you've got going. And, listening to this music, you can see how much blood, sweat, and tears you've poured into it. And it definitely doesn't sound like anything else that I've heard. And that's what makes it so appealing to me is I can sit here and listen to it and I appreciate everything about it. And I'm not a huge hip hop person by any stretch of the means, but there is hip hop that I can appreciate and there is funk that I can appreciate. And I'm not an EDM guy. That stuff just absolutely drives me maddening. Like it makes my.
Hey, I know for a lot of people it does.
But with listening to your stuff, you've taken all of your influences and kind of put them into this big pot and stirred it up. And what you've come up with is a damn good recipe. There's just that right amount of sugar on top, man. And, I think everybody's going to develop a sweet tooth on it. And I wish nothing but the best for you here. So.
Oh, I appreciate that, man. We go way back, Chaz. We go way back in the city.
We do.
Dealing with the parents that would drop off their kids in the drum section. We'd be trying to talk, and all of a sudden, man, you hear a Keith Moon solo going on.
But the problem is it'd be like 4 or 5 kids playing at once, and you're just trying to make sense of it. And somebody walk in and go, oh, that's what they call jazz, just a bunch of notes, a bunch of wrong notes. Just if it's a wrong note, play it twice and make it sound like you did it on purpose. So
Right.
so Kev, Kev, what exactly is a muzz sucker?
Muzz sucker is exactly how we would say the other word, but putting a cool spin on it to where it doesn't sound as harsh.
Okay, I get it. Okay,
and basically, man, it was 70s jive. So back in 1974, you was wearing a fox fur coat, and you out on a street corner or something, and you talking jive, and then a guy just totally, disrespects. You wouldn't say MF, you would go, yo, man, this must sucker crazy.
Okay.
So, I took something that was a 70s thing and put it into this thing of, and Blake really went, he goes, man, I'm going to make this to where we roll up on Norman Bates, the Bates Motel, and we rent a room. And in this room, everybody's tripping on revolution of sound. Right. So I'm like, okay, Blake. And man, he's an awesome storyteller and how he raps. That's what really separates him from any of the top rappers that you hear in the industry. While these guys are talking about a woman's vagina in 50 different ways within 3 minutes and 30 seconds, which is absolutely ridiculous. He's telling stories. And I mean, hey, look, if that's where a person's at and that's what they want to listen to, then cool. But man, our life is, what's going on in our lives is so much bigger than that sexual kind of perversion. But, I think that's my age coming through, and maybe Blake's age coming through too. We just choose not to talk about that type of stuff because there's just too much other things to talk about to help bring people up. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, that's just not my thing. I kind of feel like, what you say on a record, and I know you'll probably agree with me on this, Chaz, what you say on a record, what you do on a record. And once you put it out there, even if all of a sudden you're like, man, I'm not going to pay for this to exist in these platforms or these mediums, and you think it's been taken down some way, somehow, it's still out there. You can't take it back. So if you're feeling a certain way today and how you want to express your feelings about a woman or a man or whatever, just kind of be careful about what it is and precise about what it is you really want to say, because you may not feel that same way 5 years from now. You definitely may not feel that way and think that same way 20 to 30 years from now. There's a lot of artists that went through that. And I'm going to use this guy as an example, and then I'm going to get off of this particular thing. But look at Prince. Prince in his early years was filthy, raunchy stuff he was saying on record and doing. As he developed as an artist, it got to the point where he wouldn't even play some of his early work anymore, because in his headspace and in his spirituality, he didn't want to represent that anymore. But here's the thing about that, right? It's still out there. Prince is dead and gone. And there's a young kid that could go pick up the Dirty Mind record or the Controversy record or the Prince, the second record, or even 1999 and listen to that stuff, and they're going to hear what in his later years he didn't want to do live because of what was in the message. You feel what I'm saying? So when we're doing certain things, just because necessarily you feel a certain way, you may be going through depression or whatever, might not necessarily be the way you want to express it, might not be the right way. You
Right.
may need to express it in another way so that 20 years from now, Chaz, you can still respect your work. I guess that's the final thing of what I'm trying to say is do things that you feel that in the future, man, you can still respect your work to where you won't be like, nah, man, I can't sing that song, man.
Well, I think part of that is evolving as an artist too. I mean, I wouldn't, I wouldn't go back to those records by Prince and listen to them now and go, oh man, what was that guy thinking? But I could appreciate them for what they were and at the time that they came out, and because now a lot of things that came out back then and movies that came out back then, that a lot of that stuff was making fun of things that now just could never happen. A lot of that stuff can never be made now because everybody's afraid of being canceled or, oh, you tweeted that, ask Kevin Hart, you tweeted that 5-10 years ago. Oh boy, now you don't get to do this TV show. And it's like, man, I was a different person 5-10 years ago. I didn't have a family, I didn't have grandkids,
Right.
Everybody evolves. I mean, I'm not one for, canceling things so that, oh man, that we got to pretend that didn't exist. No, we don't. We got to learn from it. You go back to
I agree with you on that, and I agree with you on that on the level of like this, for example, right? I feel that freedom of speech is being attacked. I feel that people are very much so oversensitive, and I think this is the mindset. I hate to use the word, this is the narrative that's being spoken, but it really does come down to that. People's minds have been altered to accept or not accept certain things. And so now I would rather a person be truthful with me and I know where I really stand with this person than to be walking around, blind
right
to what they really feel. Right now, honestly, you're blind to what a lot of people are feeling because they have to keep certain things hushed up inside of them. And I just think that that's dangerous, man. I think it's dangerous when you shut down a person's freedom of being able to say certain things that they need to be able to say. Now, look, not everybody's going to love you in the world. That's just what it is. Not everybody's going to like you. Not everybody's going to love you. But, that doesn't mean that, that should give you the right to be able to shut people down by not being able to say what they feel they need to say. I mean, look at Facebook, for example. Them and IG, man, they really go through and they've shut a lot of people's accounts down for things that even I have wondered, like, okay, well, what was the problem in what that person said? You know what I mean? So there's this whole narrative of reconstructing how people talk, walk, and think. And I just feel, Chaz, just for myself, I think that's a very dangerous road to travel down.
Oh, I completely agree with you. I mean, when you're sitting there and you've got a friend on Facebook that posts something and you respond to it with something that, Facebook, whether it be an algorithm or a bot or however they do it, takes it out of context and throws you in Facebook jail for 3 days.
Yeah.
I had that happen to me twice in the last month. And then what that does is it puts a flag on your account. So next time it's going to be a week, and then it's going to be a month, and then it could potentially be permanent. And you're sitting here going, well, what did I say that was so wrong?
Right.
Or you've got somebody that you just, you use an example of something to try to convey what you mean, and that person takes it out of context and reports your post, and then the same thing happens. All of a sudden, you're no longer able to post on Facebook. And I mean, I'm not a huge Facebook person anymore. I mean, I really now pick and choose what I post. And I've got strong.
I don't blame you.
I mean, I've got strong feelings on a lot of stuff that would probably get me. It would probably get me in trouble, And do I think it's bad stuff? No. Do I think I'm not one of those people that I base everything on character, not skin color or anything like that. And I hate that we kind of got a little political here, but I want to be real with you in the fact that, it's kind of one of those things for me. It's like, if you're a good person, I love you. If you're a bad person, it doesn't matter to me what you look like. I don't like you. It's all based on character to me. And I think that's how it should be with everybody. It should be based on character. Now, do people have the ability to change? Absolutely. And then, you reassess the situation there, and everybody deserves a second chance. It's kind of that old saying, and I don't remember exactly what it was, but hey, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me, type of thing. It should be based on character. And I think that's why we've always gotten along so well, is because, I mean, dude, we just sit there and just, bullshit for an hour until your wife was done shopping. Then she'd come in there and give you that look and give like, I gotta go. It's time to go.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. Yeah. Yeah. That goes back to when Guitar Center was on Tropicana.
Yes, sir. Way back in the day.
Yeah, that goes back to that. Yeah, man.
All right,
yeah, so, she to this day, she hates that place.
Well, hopefully I had nothing to do with that. I don't think so, but.
No, you know what it was, man. For her, I can't really talk the shop talk to her at all. So when I was around you guys and I was able to talk shop and, tools to help, bring something out of yourself, man, for her, she was like, look, man, this is boring. I don't want to be here. Can we go? And now the flip to that is, here's the flip to that. Man, I couldn't have found a more supportive person through this journey, this adventure, doing music. Because many a woman would have said long ago, check this out. You're going to sell all that stuff? And this is it. Because, we can't keep going through this. You know what I mean? But when there was times I wanted to quit, man, I was just like, I'm done with this, And she was like, you done? Oh, no, you're not done. You're going to go in there. You're going to keep doing what you do. Because we've invested too much time in your gifts, and you're going to keep perfecting them. Now, that's the side of Endora many people don't know, right? They'll look at me and be like, yeah, big brother Kev, man, Kingzilla, yeah, man, that dude, he be pushing it, or he's doing this or this or that. But man, a lot of that is my wife pushing me, man, because it's very easy for us as artists, as Chase, when you're drumming, you're doing different things, man. As artists, man, we're spiritual people. Whether a lot of artists want to accept that and what I'm saying right now, we are very much spiritual people. And when certain things hit us a certain way, man, we feel it more deep than the average person. And that's not saying that we're weak people. We're very strong people, because it takes a whole lot of strength to get up, first of all, and do what we do. Putting yourself in front of people is like someone saying, stand right here in the middle of the spotlight, and then they take all your clothes off for the world to see. You're naked, man. You're naked. You know, it's a deep thing, man. So when you have a partner that's like really by your side, man, like she supports me more than I support myself sometimes. So I just wanted to say that because you've never heard or, you know, seen that side of the story. You've always seen when she comes in and she's like, oh no, we got to go. I'm hungry.
But dude, Kev, I love your wife. Dude, she is so funny. And I mean, you guys are so good together. I mean, you raised some good kids, and man, you got a grandbaby now. And dude, it's just, I mean,
yeah, I got two. I got a third one on the way.
Wow, man.
I got a third.
I've got four. I've got
oh, wow.
I've got the oldest is a grandson, and then I've got 3 granddaughters. So I mean, wow. I feel it, man. It's you know, it definitely puts a spin on things. And so you know, my wife is, you know, I've gone through this. The cool thing about my wife is she never really questions me on anything. She just kind of looks and goes, he'll figure it out. You know,
right.
Like, especially when it comes to drums, and you know, she'll say, well, you don't want to play that gig? Don't play that gig. You know, and or you know, if you want to put the drums away for a while, put the drums away for a while. And then when I'd say, oh man, you know, I haven't played them, maybe I should just sell them and call it. And, no, don't sell them, keep them, because you'll definitely, you know, want to play again. But she's like, if you just want to put them away in cases for a while, put them away in cases for a while and do something else. Figure it out.
See, that sounds like my wife. She's like, you ain't selling nothing. Don't sell nothing. And I'm like, well, man, you know, it's a lot of stuff here I'm not using. She goes, you don't know when you may need that tool. And she's like, don't sell it, you know. So, look, man, wives have a very special gift in being able to help us because they're emotional based, right? So emotions for them, man, is knowing and seeing the love that you have towards something, and I don't want to see him give that up.
Right.
So they have a way of seeing something we don't see. We are more bombastic, you know, we're more men, you know, it's like, no, man, I'm through with this, man. I'm tired of this and this and this and that. And, you know, you stick your chest up, man, and, you know, not realizing that actually you're hurting something in your inner being if you fall through maybe with what it is you're feeling out of the anger. See, us men, man, we can express anger and, you know, I'm the man, you know, He-Man, like sticking your chest out like King Kong stuff, you know, we could do that real easy. But sometimes it really does take our spouses to see something in us that we don't.
Yeah, because they usually look at us and go, quit being a jackass.
Right.
And, you know, then you're like, okay.
Yeah, right. Hey, man, you know, I mean, I think it's very important to have them by your side.
Oh yeah.
Very important.
Oh, yeah. And that was part of, you know, you mentioned earlier that you took the time down with the pandemic to dive into your craft. And I did the exact opposite. My wife and we took the time to really just kind of hang out. And we kind of looked at each other and said, this is going to go one way or the other. Either we're going to make the best of this and really get closer and do more things together, or it's going to go the exact opposite and not turn out so well. And we just decided, hey, let's just pick a direction and drive a couple hours and see what's there. If there's nothing there, cool. If there's something like a little ghost town or something to check out, or, you know, some place we've never been to before, let's do it. So we did quite a bit of that, just, you know, a couple hour road trips and that type of thing. And we did a lot of that, and it was really fun. And, you know, we got to see some places that we hadn't seen before, and, you know, just kind of hang out, and we got closer. And, made some life changes and, relocated and did some other things and, really took the time to say, hey, let's get out of some of these ruts we're in and maybe it takes some different scenery to make that happen. And so we did that and we'll see where this goes. So
Right.
Kev, you've got a choice here. I've got time for one more tune. So we've got Turn This Must Sucker Out or So Far Away. It's your choice.
Phew, man.
Put you on the spot. I mean, these are your babies, so I know it's which one gets the ice cream and which one doesn't,
I'm a big fan of So Far Away because it's dealing with, what so many of us dealt with during the pandemic. Again, this whole album was just a reflection on what a lot of people went through, and it's talking about depression. Depression is real. And again, Blake did a great job on what he wrote on the tune. I don't know, maybe there's someone that really needs to hear that song. Turn This Motherfucker Out is just a fun song. Like I said, it's us having fun in this imaginary, we're partying in the Bates Motel with experienced, revolutionary sound, So I tell you what, man, I'm going to throw the ball back in your court. I'm cool with either one.
All right, so
it doesn't matter.
All right, so here's what I'm going to do. So let's go with So Far Away, and then we'll kind of wrap this thing up a little bit. And then as we're wrapping up and we're doing the outro to this whole thing, I'll play the other tune, Turn This Must Sucker Out. So
all right, okay.
Let's hit So Far Away real quick. We got about just shy of 4.5 minutes of So Far Away, and then we'll wrap for a few more. Then I'll hit the other tune. So hang tight, Kev.
All right.
Party so far away. You're not so far away. You're not so far away. Together we can fight depression.
That's a deep song, man. Those lyrics are pretty heavy, Kev.
Yeah, Blake has, again, man, you know, Blake is a storyteller as a rapper. And I sincerely mean that. I mean, I couldn't, in my opinion, I couldn't have picked a better partner to do this project with. He's a really good dude. Yeah.
I mean, he crafted some really well put together lyrics there, and I mean that song hits pretty heavy. You know, it breaks down in the middle, and you're just kind of grooving, and you've got the guitar hits in there, and I mean it's a very well put together song, just like every single song that you've put out. I mean, they all sound completely different from one another. And they all have a story and a meaning, and whether it be, you know, fun party time or something that deals with a heavy subject such as this song, you know, and depression. I mean, so where are you going from here? I mean, you're obviously got to be my dog in the background. You've obviously Cooper, chill out. You've obviously got to be working on some more material, and are we expecting another full length, or are we going to do some more singles? What do we got going?
So right now I'm beginning, well, there's a lot of things going on. So first, we're going to have Galactic Funk 3030 remixed and remastered and putting that back out as like a special edition. And I'm contemplating whether, you know, I will add 3 new songs on it, or keep those 3 new songs to go towards some other songs I have for a new record. I just haven't really decided what to do with that yet, because these 3 new songs sound like another new direction from what, you know, Galactic Funk 3030 is. So we may just leave that as it is, but we do feel that it needs to be a better mix and remastering on it. So there's a lot of people that like that record, so we're looking at doing that. I also have the whole second Manic Sound Explosion record done. And as far as like music structure and that type of thing, and I just have to sit with the lead singer, Miss Sadie, and we just got to sit down. We got to finish this record, man. I mean, there's like 13 tracks for that album, and I'll let you guys in on this. We had this name, 3 new songs, 3 new keys of noise, which had a meaning for me. But as I started listening to the record more and more and more of the songs that we have for that, I started saying to myself, no, let's call it Turn It Up, which is one of the songs on there. So let's call the record Turn It Up, The Party's on Mars, because it's all about higher vibrations, man. You know, people feeling better about things. Things have opened up. People are able to get out the house and do some things. So, you know, I kind of felt like the meaning that I had for the other thing, I'm like, you know what? I think that this speaks more loudly. Turn it up of, hey, look, you know, this is who we can be. This is what we want moving forward. And hey, man, you know, the party is not on Earth, man. It's on this new location. So let's get down and get with it. You know what I mean? So it's cool. And I can't wait for people to hear that. You know, the first Manic Sound Explosion record is out on Spotify as well. It's called A Sound Experience for the Loveless. And I had a lot of fun working with Miss Sadie. with that record. And we've already released 3 singles from the new one, which will be called, again, Turn It Up Now. So there's that. And I didn't tell you this, but, you know, Trey Daniels, the bassist from POD, he's all over the Program record. Him, along with another good friend of mine, Rod Maurice, actually helped write some of those songs.
Nice.
On Exodus, you heard that's him on bass.
Okay.
From POD.
Okay.
And some additional keyboards. We both was playing keys on the record. A brilliant guy. So there's this project that me and him have been trying to get off the ground for quite some time. These 2 cartoon characters, because actually Kingzilla is a cartoon character. That's part of the storyline me and him wrote. We actually wrote a script. It's called Galactic Cannibals. And there's this really funky, zany music that goes with it. That's where songs like Land of the Succubus came from. And so, you know, he got busy with POD, man. He had to go tour a lot of times. So he wasn't able to just sit in the studio and just complete a lot of this stuff. So that's how I took Kingzilla, that character, and started putting out solo records on it, because I was like, well, I'm going to continue to write. And so I just put this stuff out, and it's been catching on, you know. But it's part of this whole storyline with him. And so it seems like we should be able to have like a 5-song EP, you know, to put out here soon. But we really need a video. We need a video to pull people into the storyline. You know what I mean? It's visual stimulation, you know, is very important too, to your ideas of what, you know, how you may want the music to become visual. You know, sound taking on visual 3D, you know, type things. So we'll see what happens with that, but I'm excited about that. So I've got my hands pretty involved with, you know, these 3 projects, man. You know, it's really hard for me to take on new stuff right now because, you know, it's like not having one baby. It's like having triplets. Right. You know, and, you know, you can't neglect one over the other because you have love for all of them.
Yeah,
right?
That's true.
So,
that's absolutely true. It's absolutely true. And
so that's what I'm dealing with that right now. So, you know, I'm just trying to balance everything.
Right. And so with these, is it only, I mean, I know it's probably not just available on Spotify. There's probably other avenues that it's available on. Are physical copies available? Like, can somebody order a CD or a piece of vinyl directly from you?
I am looking into getting vinyl made before I do CD, just because, man, you know, man, I'm old school, man. I love the fact that vinyl has made a comeback like it has.
Right.
So I got to get that set up. I'm working with, well, not working yet, but I'm talking with someone about the vinyl representation of the record. Because, you know, you could get really intricate on, you know, what grade of wax, color, you know what I mean? You can have so much going on with it.
Right.
You know, it just depends on how deep your pockets are. But I know that when I do the vinyl thing, I'm going to do numbers. So maybe that's something I could come back on your show, man, and we have like a giveaway type of thing.
We can do that. We can do that.
You know, number 00 through 10, you know, and it'll say that on the cover or whatever, you know. So you never know, maybe become something that's perceived as a collectible. I know I won't print a lot of copies because I don't want to be sitting on a bunch of albums, you know. But, you know, I think initially I'll do like a 25 print run or 50 run. I think that won't be hard to move at all.
Right. And, you've got to take care of your family and friends, and you got to, I know your wife's going to want to make sure that you guys hang on to a couple copies. So I get it. And so
You know how that goes.
I know. I mean, they're the boss, and there's no denying that. You and I aren't going to question that at all.
No, man.
So,
happy wife, happy life.
Oh, that is absolutely true. That is absolutely 100% true. So,
yeah,
is this project something that we might see in a live situation later on down the road?
I would say so. I just don't know when, because Blake wants to go and represent this stuff live. If he could do it tomorrow, he would. My question, which I'm always bringing this up to him, I'm like, okay, so Blake, who are we going to play this stuff in front of? No one outside of people who are listening to us on, these digital formats really know who we are. And we really need, and this is just my opinion, we really need to concentrate on the content. We have to keep building quality content so that there is some type of talk going, hey man, have you heard this? Hey man, I wonder if those guys, do they play live anywhere? You know what I'm saying? We need to get that type of talk going. And in order to do that, the content has to be there. So, and I believe this new record helps solidify that type of thinking. So I do foresee that in the future. I just don't know when, man, because I've got to finish this the second Manic Sound Explosion record. We've got opportunities to have our music on some Netflix stuff. So that's being looked at. It seems my role as a producer and writing these songs, it takes up a lot of time, man. Being independent ain't easy, bro, especially when you holding down a job, a wife, 3 kids, 2 grandchildren, and a third one.
I know. Dude, I feel you. I completely feel you. I mean,
it's not enough time in the day.
Dude, I said, oh man, I'm going to do a podcast. I'm going to start a podcast. And it's really a lot of work. I mean, and it could be so much more work, and it will get to be so much more work in the future, but it was supposed to be a fun thing. And then it's like, oh man, I actually have to put some work into this.
Right. So, hey, man, I totally understand what you're saying right now, because that's what I've been living with this. See, the pandemic spoiled me in a way. Sitting at home, quarantine, the job said, don't you come up here, man. You know what I mean?
Right.
So we're quarantined. And so, man, that was awesome. Waking up every morning and coming in my studio. That was my job. The funnest job, man, I've had in years, right? But then I got that call. And that call was, hey, man, we need you to come back to work. Out the blue. And, man, I'm not one of these people that, no, man, I'm not coming back and just sit at home collecting unemployment. I was like, okay, well, you're calling me back to work. I need to go back to work.
Right.
So I went back to work. Only thing about that was, there was a guy that came to work that was COVID positive, and my whole crew got sick.
Oh, man.
And, I mean, Chas, man, that was the sickest I've ever been, man. I was down for 3 weeks, man. It felt like I was going to die. That stuff is no joke, man.
Well, a lot of us feel that we got it back in December and the end of November before they even knew what it was. Because both my wife and I went to the doctor beginning of January, and I'm looking at her and I'm like, I was just setting up drums for the gig, and I had to stop and catch my breath, and and I just have no energy. Like, me, man, I'm going to work. There's a work ethic involved there, and I don't like, for me, it's like, hey, people rely on me. I'm not going to leave them hanging. because
right.
someday I'm going to need a favor. And if they see that I'm working and busting my ass, then I'll, have a better chance of getting that favor. I'll have a better chance of getting that day off I want to go see fish or something, So,
right.
So, if I'm on my way to work and I'm calling my boss going, man, dude, I've got no energy, man. I just feel like a bus hit me. I can't come in.
Yeah.
That means I really don't feel good, because I'll go to work with a cough and work my way through it, or with a migraine and work my way through it, because for me, people rely on me, and that's just how it is. If somebody, if you have a job, that means that other people are relying on you, and you better, go do your job, otherwise it makes their job easier, or makes their job harder, and that's not fair. So I totally get what you're saying. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I got up, I went to work. Did I feel like, you want to talk about feeling depressed? I was like, oh man, the good times are ended. No more 10, 12 hours in the studio.
Right.
But hey man, I felt that it was a wonderful opportunity, because man, I really did utilize the time. I utilized the time to promote myself and learn things that up until that happened, man, I wouldn't have taken the initiative to go that deep. Right. You know what I mean? Because I was playing all these side gigs. I was holding down my job. And like now, I pretty much said it, and it is true. For right now, I'm retired from playing live. I just have so much work as a producer, producing this music and writing. I can't even think about taking on playing a live gig with anybody, because that's time consuming, man. You have to learn the tunes. You don't want to be that one guy that shows up at rehearsal or on the gig, don't know the music. And in a lot of cases, man, when you accept something like that, man, minimum you have 40 to 50 songs to learn.
Right. I know, man.
That's time consuming, man. And so when I started thinking about that, and some of the church gigs I was doing, man, it was always some new complicated song being introduced with a bunch of gospel chops in it, and I was just like, yeah, man, I'm just not there anymore.
Right.
Like that.
Right.
And I'm so into doing Kevyn now. I guess that's what we've really been talking about during this whole thing, is self-discovery.
Right.
When you finally get there, man, all this other stuff you was doing don't matter no more. And that's where I'm at, man. I'm finally really happy being Kevyn, man. And if a person digs the music, cool. If they don't dig the music, that's cool too, because I'm happy with what I'm producing. And that is worth all its weight in gold.
Right. And I dig the stuff. I love it. And I listen to it quite a bit. And, like I said, grandson put it on his playlist and he's digging it.
That's all.
Yeah, man. And you know me, man, me and my grandson, I'm very protective, and
right. Oh yeah.
I try to watch what he listens to, and dude, I don't have a problem with him, gravitating towards your stuff. And I think it's just because there's so much going on with the music, but yet the music still grooves and it still locks in, that I think he's going to gravitate towards it even more. And he's been coming into the room here where I'm doing this, and I'm looking over my left shoulder here, and I'm staring at some nice, beautiful drums that don't get played enough anymore. Right. And he sneaks in here, and he'll take the dust cover off, and he'll start playing a little bit, or he'll start tapping on the counter or whatever. And I just, I just see a lot of that. When I was a kid and sitting there, I couldn't sit still, right. And I'm tapping on stuff. So we'll see where that goes, and yeah,
man, keep them encouraged, man, because I said my grandsons, even though my oldest grandson is only 2.5, I sit him behind the kit on my lap, and I put the sticks in his hand, and he doesn't know what he's doing, man, but he knows when he hits the drums, they make a noise, and he likes the noise. So you just don't know where that may take him. And let me tell you something about my oldest grandboy. Since he was as small as I can remember, he loves Aaron Spears. I play him this video, this DW video of Aaron Spears playing to DJ Shadow's song Mamba. Do you know that this kid is only 2.5 years old and he will watch Aaron Spears play that drum performance from the beginning to the end and won't move?
Wow.
He will stay zoned in on watching it, and he gets excited still. And I'm like, well, I think it shows me he has an ear for music. He's got something going on where it's touching him a certain way.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's what music is designed to do, and I think that's why we love it so much, is because that's what it does to us. When we hear a certain piece of music, it ignites that spark inside of us. It's like a bird flying through the sky, and they see something shiny on the ground. It's like, ooh, a shiny thing. That's what music does us. We make our way through life, and then we hear that certain song or whatever it is, and it's like, ooh, man, that song just touches us, and then it becomes on our lifelong playlist, so to speak. And then every time we hear that song, we get that same feeling. So and one of the songs that he's really been gravitating to is the one that we were going to play as we head out of this thing. But I want to get in your website. I know that you've got www.thekingzilla.com. And I know that, it's a work in progress, just like everything else. You got called back to work, so it kind of cuts into your time. But I see that, there are some cool visuals going on, and I see the little store thing, and I know that you're going to get some stuff up there. And,
Yeah, we got to get some merch up there. The one thing I learned real quickly is that, like Blake is my writing partner. We write these songs together. But when my partner, Miss Sadie, that's with Manic Sound Explosion, she's an entrepreneur. So she has businesses that she runs. So it was nothing but a thing for her to set up a web page and get merch going and all this stuff. It was like, oh, wow, I got this business person who's my lead singer in this project. And, man, look at her go, man. Wow. You know what I mean? Whereas with me, the Kingzilla featuring Blake, man, it falls 100% on me. And it's like you said, Chad, it's a lot involved with it. A lot. It's work.
Oh, yes, it is. It absolutely is. So
it's work.
Man, I love you, dude. I love your wife. I wish you guys nothing but the best. I'm glad that...
Likewise, bro. Likewise.
Man, I'm glad that, you're keeping busy and your wife's keeping busy and everybody's healthy and the grandkids are healthy. And, man,
man, they're doing good.
I wish nothing but, the crazy success that you deserve with this. And so I'm going to hit one more track and play this out. So... is there any last things, famous last words that you want to let everybody know about?
Well, just, hey, man, we're doing what we do. There's a lot of content that's going to be coming, out still between now and the end of the year. So at least 2 more records. So that's between, another 20, 30 songs. So look out for that. And you know what, Chad, thinking about your grandson, hearing that he likes the song Hype, if you would like to play that, because, man, I'm hyped knowing that that young man liked that song, man. So that's really cool. That's really cool. He liked the song.
Yeah, man, I'll you know what? I'm going to play that, and it looks like he's not the only one. Dude, you guys have over 88,000 plays of Hype on Spotify, dude. That's nothing to shake at in this day and age, man. There's bands that used to sell millions of records that don't sell that many records anymore.
Yeah, interesting story about Hype. That song came out in November of last year, right? And Spotify had did this thing where they thought a lot of people were doing something illegal, right, with streams. A true story with this. So one day, man, I wake up, man, I go to Spotify to look at what our count is, and the song is gone. So I contact Spotify, and they go, well, we believe you're one of the 70,000 people, artists, that has been doing something that goes against, our thing, right? Man, I was pissed because I'm like, I used reputable people. I didn't use some off the wall, you know what I'm saying? A thing that that's just like a bot that's generating plays. So I contacted the people that I did business with, and they said, no, man, our company is legit. Your plays are real. They were real people that listened to this. And they said, we're going to contact Spotify because this isn't right. So they actually vouched for me and called Spotify and said, man, you need to put this guy's song back on and give him his plays back. And Spotify looked into it and they did just that. They put my song back on. They gave me an apology and they gave me my plays back. Now, after that was like around 64,000 they had did up until they did that. Okay, Chaz? So check this out. From that point, moving to now, I haven't done any promotion for the song. It's just word of mouth now. That's how we're at the 88,000 now is I haven't promoted that song since that incident. And it's still gaining listens. So I feel good about that. And I feel that it also shows Spotify and all these other people, hey, man, I didn't do anything wrong, and you saw that I didn't do anything wrong. And you gave me everything back that I was supposed to have. And but a lot of artists, man, they didn't put their music back up.
Wow.
It was like a total of 70,000 artists they did that to.
Jesus.
It was crazy. Wow. It was crazy, and my whole thing was, man, is like I said, man, I don't do shady business, man, because at the end of the day, it always comes back and it bites you in the ass in a bad way. So, man, I've just always, hey, man, I deal with people in the right way, I feel. And at the end of the day, Spotify did the right thing. They restored my song, gave me all my plays. But the interesting part is, again, it's gaining plays without me even promoting it. So I think that's wonderful because that means that people are talking about it. They're putting it on their playlist so other people are hearing it and it's getting played. I just think that's a beautiful thing.
It absolutely is, man. And you deserve all that success and you deserve those 88,000 plays. So
yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna play hype and we're gonna get out of here. But dude, I appreciate from the bottom of my heart you agreeing to come on, and this has been a blast. And dude, we'll talk soon. And when you get some more stuff, absolutely. I'll keep an eye on it. When you put some more stuff up, we'll get you back on here again, and we'll continue this life journey together. And
oh yeah, man, for sure, man, for sure. And hey, man, blessings to you and your family and everything, man. Appreciate everything.
You got it, man. You too, Kev. I'll talk to you soon, man. Take care.
All right,
bud.
brother.
All right.
Okay, you too now.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Take care.
All right.
And here we go.
Later.
We're going to play hype to get us out of here. And this will be Kingzilla featuring Blake.
We're so damn tired of your damn lies. We're so damn tired of all your lies, 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 lies. I'm living your speech is the UTC. Lies, 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 lies. Fee, fi, fo, fum, the calm is now amongst us. But just like that, lightning strikes, here comes the thunder, the gods awaken. Clouds erupting, heavy winds, what comes next, the unpredictable? Is it the face of an angel upon us, or is it the wicked that's here with a vengeance? Turn to scripture, guns and roses, armed and dangerous, locked and loaded. Shiver me timbers, loco, diablo, burning ground. Fuego, high pollution in the air, which causes
causes optic blurry vision. Here comes another drum roll, which only means the gods of thunder has awakened. 2020, not the vision, but the year, Disturbia. Chef John Brown at it again, it's time 7 in the back of the brother man. Fresh off the press, that's why I'm pushing up to catch the ambush before they rush. Can't believe in this day and age, it's forced me to push my pen this way. But birds of a feather flock together in these desperate times and desperate methods. Said it before and I'ma say it again, this is the year of the helter skelter. Fee, fi, fo, fum, the calm is now amongst us. But just like that, lightning strikes, here comes the thunder, the gods awaken. Clouds erupting, heavy winds, what comes next? The unpredictable. Is it the face of an angel upon us, or is it the wicked that's here with a vengeance? Turn to scripture, guns and roses, armed and dangerous, locked and loaded. Shiver me timbers, loco diablo, burning grounds. Fuego, high pollution in the air, which causes optic blurry vision. Here comes another drum roll, which only means the gods of thunder has awakened. 2020, not the vision, but the year, Disturbia. Chef John Brown at it again, this time 7 in the back with the brother man. Fresh off the press, that's why I'm pushing up to catch the ambush before they rush. Can't believe in this day and age, it's forced me to push my pen this way. But birds of a feather flock together in these desperate times and desperate measures. Said before and I'ma say it again, this is the year of the helter skelter.